Order at 1:02 p.m. on Friday, March 19th. It is a gorgeous bluebird day here in Lake Placid. Thank you all for attending today. We're welcoming board members in person and remotely via video conference. Also to the public viewing, thank you very much for joining us. In accordance with Executive Order 202.1, this board meeting is being videotaped. A link to the video and transcription will be posted on the ORDA website following this meeting. Board members, we ask that you please speak as clearly as possible and identify yourself each time you speak or make a motion. Emily, there's Emily. Where is Emily? Hello, Emily. May we please have a roll call to confirm a quorum is present?
Kelly Cummings.
Here.
Bill Beatty.
Here.
Cliff Thompson. Steve Hunt.
Here.
Thomas Keegan.
Here.
Andy Lack. Betty Little.
Here.
Art Lucy.
Here.
Diane Monroe.
Here.
Chris Pushkar.
Here.
Jeff Stefanko.
Here.
And Eleanor Tatum.
Here. Great. Thank you. An agenda is included in your board packet. The first item for board action on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. May I have a motion approving the minutes of our last meeting held on January 22nd, 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Betty, and a second? Thank you, Diane. Okay, any discussion of the minutes? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. It is my understanding that the audit committee met this past Monday. And Jeff, could you please provide us with a report from the audit committee?
Certainly. First, thank you to Cliff and Tommy Keegan, our newest member of the audit committee, for taking part and joining me on the committee. We'll review the recommendation of the committee on the independent auditor as later in the meeting when we get to the resolutions, but we also reviewed the Executive Order 95 audit. This is an order that ORDA has been working hard to come into compliance with after an audit by the state controller. Purpose of the executive order is to use technology to promote transparency and improve government performance of state agencies and public authorities, and to enhance citizen engagement. This occurs by having public entities like ORDA inventory and upload certain data to Open Data New York, the website. ORDA has appointed Peggy Evett, Director of Finance for ORDA, as the data coordinator to lead ORDA's work on this. The OSC auditors have recognized ORDA's efforts, and an update on Executive Order 95 is due August 7th, 2021. In her financial controls update, Peggy let us know about the improvements in her department, the accounts receivable process, software update to better manage the fixed assets and depreciation, and a purchasing module used throughout all ORDA venues, which leaves a solid audit trail for approving requested purchases. So that's kind of the highlights of what we covered at the audit committee meeting. Like I said, we'll get into the independent auditor selection when we get into the resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anyone have questions or comments for Jeff? Okay, thank you. Next item is our president's report. Mike, can you please give the board your monthly report?
Certainly, thank you. This has been a very challenging year for us, and as we're closing in at the end of March, it's the end of our fiscal year. We had set the bar very high with our economic impact report that the board was shown in August, and the results of some of these state investments, how successful we've been, and how the customers have really impacted the economies in all our regions of New York State. Going into this winter, can you forward that one, Georgie?
Is this stuff?
Well, anyways, we went into the winter, the planning was very, very intensive. We had goals of trying to keep the communities that we serve, the guests and the employees all safe. We had new guidances from New York State that we were trying to ensure density control. We limited some sales and weekends and holidays. I think I have it, Georgie. Thank you. We developed our pricing strategies and guest assurances. And the assurances were really well received by the customers, where we weren't forcing them to feel like if the pandemic went the other way, they'd be shut down and would not have support from us. We were there for them. It was a two-way street. It worked out very well. We've been very successful, as I'll show you this year, with the guests. Also, we've been very successful with our employees. We have still not had a single case of workplace transmission of COVID identified by the Department of Health or our own efforts in contact tracing. It's something that we're constantly trying to preach the best practices and controls, and so far it's working out. We went into the fall with strong pass sales in September. Had followed it up with the next price deadline in December with strong sales, and ended up increasing our sales efforts of our core products to record numbers. Our e-commerce sales throughout the winter almost tripled, and most of those were direct-to-lift products that allowed guests to stay away from the lines at our guest service areas, utilize our kiosks, our technology, and keep everyone safe. Last year, at the end of February, we were having a record year. We went through operating until March 16th and then closed down. This year, we've exceeded those numbers year to date. So we're on the verge of having a record year when we get to the end of March.
Great.
And despite all these capacity limitations and us turning away business on weekends and holidays, besides the record pass sales of core customers, we had record midweek business and have ended up exceeding the visitation numbers also. So this goes right back to that first slide of the economic impact, where instead of having it all hit on the weekends, we were hitting it 7 days a week, and it's been received very well by our communities right now.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
All right. So one of the things that I've noticed this winter versus prior years is our midweek skiers, and I can specifically speak for Whiteface because that's where I go most of the time. Was that true at Gore and at Bel Air?
Yeah, absolutely. We've complained forever that the schools should have their vacations in the winter and not in the summer, and that we wouldn't have to compete with a school year. And we certainly didn't want a pandemic to lead to this, but the I think the ability of some people to have non-traditional work schedules, as well as some people embracing the remote learning, and has allowed us to really increase our midweek business. And historically, where we may have had 800 or 900 people at a ski resort on a midweek day, now we're having 2,000 plus.
That's great. Good.
And Wednesday, we started selling seasons passes for next year.
And how are the sales going so far?
Let me get to that.
Okay. Sorry, I just
That
like,
gets its own side, so
it's like the big finale for this report.
While we're advertising these sales for next year, we're cross-marketing all our different venues and seasons, preparing, I guess, just educating our guests and preparing everybody for what's to come next. Part of what's helped make us successful is our investments and our improvements. At Gore, we replaced the 2 riblet lifts with quads. At Bel Air, we did a patio at the Discovery Lodge, as well as the 3rd floor, and are building a pump house at Mount Van Hovenberg. The new trails for the Nordic, as well as the snowmaking in the lodge, all got taken advantage of. There's a Discovery Lodge at the top slides at Whiteface. We replaced one of the riblet lifts, and there's the new Pump House 1 down by the Sable River. Whiteface, I just want to tell you that there's 5 support race buildings at Whiteface from the Olympics and 2 scoreboards. And they're crying out for some TLC that we're going to give them this summer.
We all agree.
So here's just a picture with a mock-up of a scoreboard area. One of them is still an active race finish area where we would have a video board on part of that, and the modern scoreboard arrangement. The bigger picture at the bottom right is the new Mid-Station Lodge and the old slalom finish building on the left. That's just a little mock-up of how we could take care of it. And instead of interrupting the board when you're in your resolutions, I've included a quick presentation on the oval as well as one on Whiteface snowmaking, so that since we have resolutions directly affecting this, but the speed skating oval here in Lake Placid is really an iconic image of Lake Placid. It's what everyone pictures in the winter at night. But it goes back to the 1920 when we bid for the first international event in Lake Placid, sporting event. And that laid the groundwork for the bids for the 1932 Olympics. And the speed skating was an integral part of it. In 1978, the Olympic Organizing Committee named the speed skating oval after James Bunny Sheffield, and he's doing his barrel jumping over the spectators here on the right. But that was the kind of the view of the oval site in 1932. What's really special about 1932 is we've been trendsetters for a lot of things. And we were the inventors of the tiered podium. And it was first displayed and utilized in 1932. And the first Olympian to walk on top of the tier to accept the gold medal was Jack Shea.
Did they plan on Americans winning because the stars and stripes are right there? Or?
It's the home field liberties.
Is that Jack Shea, a picture?
That is.
Yeah, oh my God, isn't that wonderful?
So this slide is from a man from Utica, Valentine. He was an Olympian for New York, for the United States from Utica for 3 different Olympics. He had a tragic car accident, and it didn't stop him. He lost a leg, but with his prosthetic leg, he continued coaching and recreating at the oval. And I've just felt that it was important to recognize this man's challenges and the inspiration he's provided, and Even the United States Olympic Committee has evolved into the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and there's now Paralympic Games, and we have our adaptive programs. But his inspiration, I think, is noteworthy. Another notable athlete, Jeannie Ashworth, won a bronze medal in the Olympics, former town supervisor in Wilmington. But
What was her sport? I'm sorry.
speed skating.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all at the Oval, yeah.
Yeah. So here's a quick construction. The refrigeration that was put in the late 1970s was put in time to host the World Sprint Championships in Lake Placid in 1978. In 1980, Eric Heiden won 5 gold medals, and there were many world and Olympic records that were set. But Eric Heiden, with his 5 gold medals, was the most gold medals ever at an Olympic Games by an athlete. We use the Oval all the time for community events and year-round. Some of the recreation and night operations. The last few years, our efforts at the Oval, just through tickets, have been on the increase. And certainly this was the winter of outdoor recreation, and we set record numbers there.
Can you go back? So we were up 166,000.
Yep.
Must have raised the price too.
Pardon me?
The price had to go up too.
Yeah, we did raise the price primarily on peak times because we had to limit the capacity, but we extended the hours, and that's how we were able to increase the visitation also. So the Oval had business, on Thursday mornings and stuff, which would have been unheard of in the past.
Yeah.
How late in the season do you think it'll be open?
We've shut it down now and have started construction.
Construction's begun, okay.
We're utilizing the access to the refrigeration systems that we've already been tearing out the systems.
That's a huge feature for people who come to Lake Placid, and are not athletes, but they
Yeah.
can say they skated on that rink.
It's
For Eric Heiden.
That's phenomenal.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was so nice this winter to take a walk at night and see the families that were there.
Mhm.
Agreed. So the Oval has outlived its useful life expectancy. We have some failures in the refrigeration piping, where we have to jackhammer up the concrete and try to weld the piping back together. We've evolved to a environmentally safe refrigerant, fortunately. So we're not creating other issues. But with this new ice surface, the geometry of the Oval has changed over the years for sport. So it's not quite the same radius as it used to be. We're using HDPE piping versus the steel, which is more resilient.
What's that mean?
Plastic, a poly type of product.
In the building that's, I'm sorry, in the previous line.
That building is a replacement of the 1977 building, primarily for event needs and maintenance needs. There's a small little lobby area. There are bathrooms. The upper level is kind of the timing that's required for the event space.
Okay, but is that where you would, if the general public was there, will be putting on their skates? Or is that?
That and in the little cabins
To the left.
on the other side to the left. We're going to change the entranceway, which I'll get to in a minute. The hockey rink that's there is farther up into the corner, which is in the fall zone for competition.
I
So-
didn't know there was one.
Yeah, it's a little tiny rink, and we're moving it back into the corner so that it's out of the fall zone for the competition. The building that's there now has old T111 siding that goes right down to the bottom, where we're trying to just add the solid stone work to keep the life of the building better, minimize.
11 kind of insinuates texture 111, it's not too appealing.
No, we put a 1/4-inch coat of paint on it 2 summers ago, and it's time to replace it. This is the corner closest to the Olympic Center with a new entranceway, terracing down. There is a handicap entrance down below us. But trying to get people closer to Main Street, closer to the Olympic Center with this new entranceway, we're very excited about. We think that'll work really well.
So will we sell tickets in our main office so that people can come in?
A lot of it's going online now.
Exactly.
Where they just wave their phones at our scanners and go right
Perfect.
through.
Excellent.
We're going to continue with the flags, but on the upper part here, next to Cummings Road, we're moving the flags out so that there's a safe sidewalk lane that can look out over the oval or travel down towards Main Street and be protected. Right now, that doesn't exist. And as I explained at the last meeting, with a lot of our conservation efforts, with the building controls, with LED lights at the ski jumps and the side of the Olympic Center, we're also doing the lighting at the oval with LED with a nice control package so that it's dimmable as well as color changing. So if we want to participate in any of the events that honor a specific cause, we have the ability to do that or just provide the mood lighting.
Mike, can you go back?
Yeah.
On the ski jumps, that's the in-run portions of the ski jumps. And I think, again, Mike and his gang should be commended by going with these new refrigerated in-runs. These have enabled us to make ice one time per winter. We did not have to remake snow or ice on those in-runs. We did it once I think in November or December, and it made it through all the thaws through the winter. And I think that's been a great example of how energy efficiency we are thinking about in our modernization.
Since we're looking at it too, how much activity was there at the ski jumps this year?
They started earlier than ever and went until, I think it was Sunday was the last jumping day. And this week we started stripping the snow on the landing hills to get it ready for construction.
A lot of construction.
Did you have any competitions at the ski jump area this year or no?
No, we did not.
Yeah.
Lot of training though. And as Art said with the, when there was an unfortunate thaw-freeze cycle, we were back into training immediately. And that was the reliability thing with events where we were not receiving any events because we weren't a reliable system, because one change in weather would take us 2 weeks to prepare that in run again.
Wow.
So,
Great.
I forgot what I was going to say, so.
So down the
Well,
road,
it might have to do with events. I think part of that was the challenges of ski jumping was one of the sports where you have to invite people from multi-states, and that really wasn't convenient or acceptable.
This winter.
This winter.
but down the road, what's been done?
And what we're doing this summer, we will be the only facility in North America with winter and summer homologations on the jumps for training and for events.
I remember. There are not many ski jumps like this in the east, are there?
There's a couple around, but certainly in Vermont, New Hampshire.
Not as big as there's no 120 in the east. There is a 90 in Brattleboro, Vermont. And then there's smaller ones in Salisbury, Connecticut, and in Hanover, New Hampshire area, they're smaller.
But when we get finished, we'll be one of the best in the east, won't we?
Oh,
We'll be one of the best in the world.
Right,
And
the refrigeration is-
USA Nordic is going to make Lake Placid their home. And on our event schedule, I'll point out a couple of little things
Yeah,
that
Great.
this investment's working for. But with our sustainability efforts, I didn't explain last month some of the refrigeration decisions that have been made. And we have a lot of value engineering discussions and exercises in all these products to try to look at life cycle investments. And it typically, ice arenas are classified as commercial refrigeration systems. We chose to look at an industrial classification. It required us to purchase an extra piece of refrigeration equipment, but apples to apples, we're operating the refrigeration system with 280 less horsepower worth of power. And for the next, 30 plus years, every month's electric bill, we're going to benefit from this decision. And
How long will it take you, how long would you guess? Because I know you don't know for sure. That is what's going to pay it back, the
it's
difference.
immediate. It was a wash.
That's what I suspected.
Yeah, so we're benefiting from that decision from day one. So again, the timeline at the Oval, we're getting ready for the World University, FISU's World Championships next March and the World University Games in 2 Januaries from now.
Wow.
So it's tight from starting from 1920, though, bringing us right to 2023.
So next year, when do,
March 2nd to 5th is the FISU World University Speed Skating Championship.
and I'm presuming that if we didn't have refrigeration, there's no way we could guarantee an event like that because we know what our weather patterns are in February, March.
That's correct. And the historically, the March sun is hotter, it gets higher in the sky. We've shut down typically the second week in March, but we have more firepower now. And when one of the other decisions we've made is to have a lighter concrete so that it doesn't absorb any of the sun's heat. So we feel we're in pretty good shape. And then if it is a super warm period, we would start the event earlier in the day. So the events, we are coming into 2 incredibly busy years with next winter having events all along, but you can see here well, it's not on there. At Christmas time, we're talking about a ski jumping event and then another one in March. So two events next year, both working with USA Nordic to host these events and then gear up with the World University Games in 2023.
Could you touch a little bit for some of the board that might not know, but for World University Games, we need to commit to hosting a world-class event the year prior to the World University Games. So that's why you see a lot of international competitions being planned at our venues.
Yeah. So they're considered test events, and some of the test events would prove the new facilities, where if it's older facilities, it would kind of just prove the scoring or the sports bureaucracy of registering people and just functioning and hosting the event.
And there was was there a March 2022 event at the ski jump hill?
Yes.
See that, a test event?
Yes. And what we're being asked by USA Nordic is to host their Olympic trials right around Christmas next year, where the day after the event, their team would fly to the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And how did we end up with beach volleyball?
That's a long story.
Yeah, that's not necessarily an ORDA event, but it's an event that's here to generate excitement among the local universities and try to spread the word to of what's going to happen the following winter.
Well, I think it's great advertising for the FISU Games coming,
Right.
2 big events, but it's funny.
So another resolution is whiteface snowmaking. Whiteface snowmaking has quite a lot of antiquated facilities. It doesn't have a variable speed drives or the ability to regulate pressure as you'd like. The mountain has the greatest vertical in the east, and the snowmaking system goes straight from the Ausable River up through a series of booster pumps. And you require 1 pound of pressure to push water up 2 vertical feet, and there's 3,000 vertical feet at Whiteface. So if we went without a series of booster pumps, we would have to operate at least 1,500 PSI just to push the water that far. And ANSI 600 class ratings are typically to 800 or 900 PSI. So there's just so many engineering reasons why you can't do that. And of course, as you operate those high pressures, that's only at the bottom. The farther up you go, the pressure drops because of this. So that creates a lot of different variables and working pressures and operations that make it difficult. We now have the same control and monitoring systems in our snowmaking systems at Bel Air as we do at Mount Van Hoevenberg, as we do at Gore, as we do at Whiteface. And this gives us the ability to make decisions based on real information, as well as monitor results in production with accurate information. This is just a graph showing a weekly progression of acres of trails opened at Gore and Whiteface. And typically Whiteface, especially at the higher elevations, is colder than Gore would be. But Gore's able to open up more acres of terrain faster. And it's because of some of the limitations that we're going to correct here on this system. What our goals is to make more snow, make it faster, make it more efficient, do it in less hours with less energy, and more reliably. The way we're doing this is looking at it is if you look on the bottom axes, it's a series of pump houses from 2, 3, 4, and 5. The lower line is where we're currently designed to have production capabilities. The upper line is what this work is going to do for us. And if you look in the bottom left corner, you can see what it takes us 1,800 hours of operation to do what we're trying to do right now, where the goal is to be able to do it in 1,100 hours. So that's where the biggest energy savings are, because that's the exact same production of snow, but it's done with 700 less hours of compressor time, which is where the biggest savings in our energy loads are going to come from. So here's where Whiteface typically, you can see they made 1,800 hours of operation. They pushed 288 million gallons of water, and it was an average utilization of 2,700 gallons a minute. Where with this new system, we'll be able to do it in 1,100 hours. We'll average about 4,500 gallons a minute, and it'll be the same amount of production. We're going to end up with 7 different contracts for the approval of this resolution. And the timeline is such that we are going to sign the purchase order and order the pumps and compressors this afternoon, because we only have 7 months to go.
Well, so they're all going to be, all 7 contracts will be going
It'll be
concurrent?
simultaneously, yes. It's all, so some are pipelines, some are the installations of the pumps, and some are the electric to require to operate those. But it's a simultaneous plan system that'll.
And the reason for the 7 separate contracts is?
Just skill set.
Okay.
Hi. I have to, does Eleanor want to go?
Ellie, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, so does that put all of the mountains on basically a level playing field then with snowmaking, or will Whiteface be way ahead of everywhere else, or how does that, where does it leave all the mountains in terms of snowmaking?
Well, every mountain's different in size and vertical and have their own issues, but we're completing the new pump house at Bel Air that's going to allow Bel Air to operate at higher pressures and utilize the modern equipment to accomplish these same goals. And in my first draft of this report on that early season exercise, I had Bel Air included, but if you remember back in December, they were fortunate enough to have a 3-foot snowstorm that didn't reach the Adirondacks, and the acre, it wasn't an accurate projection of what I was trying to tell you.
Mother Nature likes,
Absolutely,
So the idea is this project will
but-
be completed by the next ski season?
absolutely.
Okay, great.
I would just like to add that I think the ski industry in general has realized that they had to get more efficient in operations because it's an unbelievably heavy demand load on electricity. But we also are seeing through climate change that your windows of when you can make snow get smaller. And so if you can't run at full capacity during those windows when it's really cold, you can't catch back up. And I remember maybe 3 years ago, it's almost like we started from scratch 3 times, where we just got completely wiped out with heavy rains. And so if we don't have these modern snowmaking planning and initiatives, we'll be the middle of the winter and we're not going to be open. And so I really applaud Mike and his team for being very aggressive with these things. And I always been a little bit jealous of Gore because that's where Mike was extremely successful in snowmaking and being innovative with energy efficiency and modern designs. And I'm very appreciative that that's being spread now to Bel Air and to Whiteface.
And Mount Van Hovenberg and the ski jumps.
There we go.
a follow-up is, at Bel Air, the pump house is a replacement, correct?
That's true.
Okay, and in addition to being able to increase capacity, are there not also additional guns that are still to be installed
Yes.
and additional piping?
Yes, and we've committed at both Bel Air and Whiteface to welding strings of pipe together already so that we can drag those up on the mountain on snow with our grooming equipment. We'll chain them in place and then just go back through in the summertime and miter the ends together. At Whiteface, this is very important for the environmental issues of the nesting habitat. When we're shut down at the high elevations, we get the pipe up there. But at Bel Air, also, we're being much more efficient. We're skidding around on a smooth surface versus creating mud and ruts and trying to clean up after our mess too.
I know that there have been some difficulties at Bel Air with antiquated piping underneath, and that has been kind of a
Yep.
thorn in the side. So that's also part of this process, right?
It is, and the guns, you know, we can't go replace everything all at once, but we're doing it strategically so that we can be most successful. We have the ability to isolate. We can turn any problem into an inconvenience. And with the guns, the modern guns are like the LED light bulbs, where the old guns were the old incandescents. And the more of those we have together, it gives us the ability to utilize this pumping capacity. Whether it's marginal temperatures or cold, it gives us a lot more ability to be productive and efficient.
Can you get any snow guns or help with snow guns from NYSERDA for this, for more efficiency, less water, all that stuff?
NYSERDA had a tremendous ski area program 2 years ago, and there's hopes that would be renewed this year. We've found that without that direct program from NYSERDA, we have a better energy efficiency rebate directly from the utilities.
Okay.
But so we are trying to incentivize these products and
Help
stretch the
private
capital even farther.
It's good.
Well, I'll join Art in the envy when I go to Gore. I swear it's like an army of guns there. It's an impressive system. And I'm happy to see it spreading.
So to answer our chair's question, over there on the left, in the last 2.5 days, we've sold over 2,200 passes for over $1 million.
And our total for last year was 9?
Almost 9 million.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But there's no incentive for the renewals right now. Most of these have been new customers. There have been some that have been renewing. And their incentive is to use these passes the rest of this year. And then they'll be ready to go for next year.
The renewal is a better rate too.
Correct. The loyalty incentive also.
Jumped on that.
But
Great
Mike's saying that this isn't those people. These are the new people that are taking advantage of this year.
Great.
So again, I just wanted to end this with this iconic image of Lake Placid, and
Beautiful.
this is just stunning.
You talked a little bit about the oval's going to change a little bit because of
Yeah.
modern design. Could you just give us an idea what that means with this picture?
The radiuses are pretty tight now
I
around.
mean the corner?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's just becoming a little more oblong.
so wider in the corners. Okay. So we have enough room.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And then the hockey rink will be in the bottom corner.
You can kind of see it in the shadows but it's shifted up into the fall zone if a skater was coming around that corner and fell.
Yeah,
So it's going to slide back down into the corner.
got it.
So
So-
like closer to like
The corner of the two.
American Legion and
Yeah,
Stewart's.
Yeah, right down there.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the hockey box there, and it's going to slide down to there.
Sweet.
So, but that's a separate rink.
Yes.
Okay.
But what's
Better.
really cool is they had their own refrigeration system that was a pain in the rear end. It didn't work properly. It was really expensive to run and maintain. And I think ORDA's doing an awesome job of chipping in with their modern, efficient system. And I presume it will run separately.
It's on a separate zone, so we can operate just the hockey box, just the oval, or both.
And then you also had to provide spectator areas, right? In the new design, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, in the Olympics, all the bleachers were in this area here, a lot right below the school on that big bank.
Okay.
So that's the thoughts now. I should have emphasized this, but for the World University Games, the Oval is going to be the site of the opening and the closing ceremonies.
will the spectators be on that hill again in front of the high school for the games?
That's what I expect, absolutely.
So some kind of temporary
Yeah.
bleachers will be put up?
Correct.
Okay.
It's exciting and it's, just having gotten a chance to look at Whiteface today, not having seen it in a few years, it's amazing what has been done and none of this would have been happening if we didn't have the support of the state and governor with the amount of money that we have had for all of these venues that, it's just tremendous, very, very exciting.
It's been a tremendous opportunity, and we've really challenged ourselves to invest every dollar well and make sure that whether it's the economic return from the customers or whether it's the operating efficiencies of the facilities, that we're making the right decisions.
I've said we'll always be historic, but this makes us relevant.
And each and every single venue is really getting modern.
Absolutely.
You know,
It is phenomenal.
It is. Great report, Mike.
Well, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions for Mike? Okay. Well, thank you. There is no old business on the agenda, so we are now going to move to the new business. 5 proposed resolutions on the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 408, which is a resolution committing capital and granting conditional approval for the president and CEO to enter into agreements for the Olympic Center Revitalization Project, James Sheffield Speed Skating Oval and support buildings. Could I have a motion? Betty?
So moved.
Second, oops, sorry. Okay, and then Ellie. Okay. Thank you again, Mike, for your detailed report on the speed skating oval. I think that was very thorough.
Vote on it.
Yes, do you think, is everyone ready? No more questions, right? So, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? The motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 409, resolution committing capital and granting conditional approval for the president and CEO to enter into an amended agreement for the Bel Air Base Lodge modernization project. Could I have a motion?
I'll move for that.
Thank you, Cliff. And a second?
Second. Thanks.
Diane. Okay. Mike, can you give us an explanation of this resolution?
Sure. This is a conditional resolution to allow me to send the request to the controller's office. It's a design build project, and it's the last cleanup resolution based on different infield decisions from the management team requesting some changes.
Okay, any questions or comments about the resolution?
I
Diane?
do have some questions. That lodge is just fantastic. The look of it, the function of it, it's just so much better than what was there, and I'm very grateful. But the numbers at Bel Air are increasing, and families that started this year got very spoiled with contained numbers. And I'm concerned about lodge space. So my question isn't so much about this one, but the Overlook Lodge. So as we address this, could you also update us on where we are with Overlook? Because space is, as we see our numbers continue to rise, space in lodges is going to be a real challenge. So if we could look at that as part of this, and could you fill us in?
Well, certainly we have work to do to finish rebuilding the damage from the avalanche. That isn't a large square footage, but it's an important square footage. So, we don't have any other plans for expansion of that lodge this year.
What's the status of the avalanche work?
There was an addition put on the front of the uphill side of the lodge that the avalanche destroyed. We went back to the original exterior wall and secured the building that way to get through the year. So we're going to rebuild this addition this spring,
So you'll
summer.
have that original capacity?
Yes,
back
absolutely.
by this summer? Or did you say
Yeah, we're going to
spring?
do it this spring, summer.
Okay.
I had been hopeful that there might be an opportunity to think long-term about the challenges on the mountain and the numbers and the crowds. That's a very, very popular lodge, and it's very, very crowded. And so I was hopeful, and Mike knows this, that perhaps we would look at that as an opportunity to maybe modernize and expand a little bit. It's a great lodge, but we're going to be very crowded with the two lodges.
Yeah, we've also looked at the possibility of expansions on the rental shop when we replace that siding. So there's a lot of things, but with the lower lodge being the main base area, that's kind of where the focus has been, at the base of the gondola, where the rental shop is with the children's programs.
Let's continue to have discussions on that, Diane. Okay,
I think so.
okay. Great, thank you. Any further discussions? Okay, all in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? The motion carries. Next, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 410, This resolution is committing capital and granting approval for the president and CEO to enter into agreements for the Whiteface Mountain snowmaking system upgrade projects that Mike described to us all. Could I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Art. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Okay. Again, Mike explained this project in his report. Anything else anyone wants to raise related to this resolution? No. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? This motion also carries. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 411? This resolution committing capital and granting conditional approval for the president and CEO to enter into an amended agreement for the Olympic Sport Complex, Mount Van Hovenberg Base Lodge, and Sliding Sports Facility Project. Could I have a motion for this resolution?
I'll make it.
Thank you, Betty. And a second? Thank you, Cliff. Okay, Mike, could we get an explanation on this resolution?
Sure, this is an old one. It should have been in front of you last year, but we could not get the paperwork separated from other issues with the project, working with the contractor. When we started excavating for the foundation, we found an old fuel tank, some old developments that nobody remembered were around there, and it required additional excavations and then new material to be brought in, and that's the extent of the cost.
Does anyone have any questions about this resolution or further discussions? Okay,
Oh, when will it take place, the work?
It already has.
Done.
Yeah, it was underneath the original foundation,
Okay.
the foundation of the building.
Excellent.
okay, so this is a formality. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? The motion carries. We have also resolution number 412. May I have a motion to adopt it? This resolution committing capital and granting approval for the president and CEO to enter into an agreement for professional auditing services. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
for this? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, who moved the first one?
Beth.
That was Jeff who.
Thank you, Jeff.
motioned.
Well, Jeff, as head of the audit committee, can you please provide an explanation of this resolution for us?
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. In a way of background, ORDA is required by public authorities law to have an annual independent auditor's report conducted of its operations. ORDA meets this obligation through an outside contract with an independent auditing firm. Contract for ORDA's current auditing firm expires on March 31 of this fiscal year or calendar year 2021. In December 2020, ORDA put out a request for proposals for a new auditing firm for a new 5-year contract. ORDA received submissions from several firms following an advertised RFP process. We thank the firms that sent in their submissions. As the chair of the audit committee, I was involved in the interviews of each firm, along with ORDA's director of finance and other ORDA staff. Based on price and other evaluation factors, the committee chose EFPR. Again, that's EFPR as the recommended successful bidder. In a confidential mailing, the audit committee was provided with the detailed information that the RFP committee considered in its selection process. The audit committee agreed and is recommending to the full board approval of resolution 412 authorizing president and CEO Mike to enter into a contract with EFPR as ORDA's new auditing firm. Again, thanks to Cliff and Tommy for assisting me with this process, and Peggy and staff for the interview process smooth. And I think the selection of this firm is going to benefit the public authority very well. Any questions?
Questions?
Just out of curiosity, it's a new contract. Is this a new firm for these 5 years?
Correct. Yes, this
Okay.
would be a new firm that ORDA has not used previously. They do have extensive government and local audit experience. And in addition to their plethora of experience in this area, their price was extremely competitive. So the combo, they scored well above every other firm.
Great.
Art, do you have a question?
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending as an observer the audit committee meeting. And one thing that struck me was how hard is it for a new firm to take over? You know, they don't have a big timeline, and I think you might be able to help us, Jeff, explain that this firm has done that before and thinks they can do it.
Yeah, thanks, Art. That's a really good point. I mean, the timeframes involved for the start of the new process are extremely tight. This firm knew that going into their presentation. They presented based upon their ability to complete the steps needed in a timely manner. They used their experience with many other government and local entities to kind of drive that point home. And that provided a pretty high level of comfort to Peggy, staff, and I that they could meet the timelines and get the job done.
Thank you.
Is there, Peggy, you might be able to this, or might be able to answer this. How is the former firm whose contract ends on March 31st? Are they being cooperative with the new firm that's coming on board in order to do this transition in a smooth manner?
Please.
We have not contacted them yet because you have not passed the resolution. But I have a draft in my desk right now to send them a letter requesting all their prior working paper. And apparently it's very common and very acceptable. So they will just email over what they have.
Thank you, Peggy.
Okay. Are there any other additional questions on this resolution for Jeff or any of the members? Okay, no further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, the motion carries. All right, that concludes our business today. The next board meeting is presently scheduled for Friday, April 23rd at 1 p.m. Any other items that need to be raised at this meeting?
Real quick, I want to say thank you. And I've asked for a couple things at the end of meetings, and everybody's been very responsive. And along with that, I was a little frustrated by the headline in a local paper about the audit situation because it didn't match what was going on. And I feel as though this organization has really done a good job moving in new directions, directions that it needed to move. I've been observing it for quite some time, but I think I have found Kelly, your leadership to be very helpful, Michelle and her hard work, and Peggy, and also Mike's openness, because I ask him a lot of questions and he's very gracious. So I just want to thank you for the progress that's been made in getting the organization structured where it needs to be. And I'm grateful for that. One of the things I asked for was an organizational chart, and we got that. It was a good beginning. And I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Diane.
I'm not asking for anything else this time.
Next time. Anyone else? Any other items, Cliff?
Just me. Going to put this in the form of a motion so we can discuss it. here at the board meeting, and it'll be up to the board whether we want to do this or not, but I'm going to make a motion that the chairwoman and the president and CEO present to us a date a date this summer for us to hold an ORDA board meeting at the Bel Air facility.
I'll second it so we can discuss it.
Great. So,
I appreciate that. In fact, it's part of a conversation that we had. We'd really love to show off Bel Air. One of the things I love is that I ski at all three areas and enjoy them all very differently because they all have their own personality. And Bel Air is unique and also deeply historic in New York State skiing. I'd love to have y'all come down, and I'd also, Art and I decided we should have it be in January so everybody can ski Bel Air.
I think, I guess we have a motion, so all in favor?
No, I have a couple
Okay.
comments to make. I've been after this for a couple of years now, Mike. I think trying to get the board down to Bel Air. We've been to Gore. We need to go to Gore maybe the year after. But,
Or the same year.
or the same year, it's up to the board. It's,
Yeah.
You know, I know it's a 4-hour drive from here. We have to have staff down there. And
We have internet and everything.
I know. So just keep that in mind, and we're gonna have to maybe move the board somehow down there, but having an army of cars down. But I just think it's right. They are taxpayers at Bel Air and in that whole entire part of the state that help support Bel Air just as we do from up here. But I think it's time for us to show our faces at Bel Air for not having to wear masks.
We did act on the previous request and had investigated a coach to bus everybody from Lake Placid down. And it was right before the pandemic hit where we were going to try to do it last spring. So the staff at Bel Air are very anxious to welcome everybody and would look forward to it.
Great.
I think it's a great idea. And it involved a bit of a tour for us so that we get to see more. I haven't been there since my son was skiing NYS, but I think it's fabulous that we get down there. And I think it'd be nice to invite Senator Seward.
Absolutely.
He's also retired, but anytime that there was money coming to Lake Placid or Gore, I had Senator Seward at my side saying, so what about Bel Air? So,
Still doing that too.
Yes.
Even though he's a former.
We'll never stop doing it.
no, he won't. So it would be fun to invite him. I'm sure he's looking for something to do too. So,
And I think it's important to do it during the winter when winter operations are going on.
I second Eleanor's comment,
I have no problem.
especially because I selfishly want to go skiing there too, before the meeting or after the meeting.
So so a December or January meeting.
Yeah, we're
Is that what
just-
you're suggesting? Is that-
The quietness for conducting the business could be an issue during operations, but
Well, the upstairs in Discovery Lodge or in the Longhouse, there's room there.
great.
So I
the
think
law-
that on a Friday, I think would be, there would be room, and especially if the COVID restrictions are lessened. I don't think it should be a problem a year from now, well, 10 months from now.
The reason that I put out the summer was the winter weather in the Adirondacks is not always cooperative from when we want to go down there or when we want to
For
go.
travel.
But, so that would make it subject to cancellation because we board members can't get there. It's summertime, you're not going to have that.
We could still remote in and have everybody at Bel Air who's closer if there is a problem, so we wouldn't have to cancel a meeting, but
But you do make a good point. There's a lot to see there because we have the Bel Air Lake as well. And there is a lot to see there. And as much as Art is required to come and ski with me at Bel Air next year, I do understand that board members might be able to see more in the summer.
Yes.
I prefer it in the winter. But I understand what you're saying.
Well, we can all agree that we do want to have a meeting at Bel Air. We can have further discussions about what time of year.
And they do have summer activities that Bel Air provides that we ought to be looking at, you know, the extension of our facilities into the summer as well.
So I'll
Love it.
amend my motion to read like this. Instead of the chairwoman and president CEO of picking a summer date, we'll throw the whole year open. Whatever recommendation you all make to the board, we can discuss and decide on at that time. You don't have anything else to do, do you?
Can I'd love to second the motion.
Great. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained? Cliff's motion carries. Thank you. I'm excited. Okay, any other items? No. Okay, if not, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Okay, second? Sorry, I think I got both. Diane.
Second.
Thank you. Tally. Okay. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Our meeting is adjourned at 2:09 PM, March 19th, Friday. Thank you very much, everyone. Great meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Really great meeting.
Thank you.
See everyone.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the detail.
No, that was a really good report, Mike.
I learned a lot.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Emily's gonna